Somewhere along the line, we felt that it was inappropriate or unacceptable to be able to express our chaos, to recognize the truth and the beauty in that first and foremost. Hey everyone, and welcome back, or if you're new to the channel, welcome to today's video. I'm Val Mason, and today we're going to talk about the wild nature at the core of each and every one of us. The wild nature that animates the life force, that animates the human body, that transcends the logic of the human mind, is the part of us that needs to be expressed. It needs to breathe. It refuses to be contained or shamed. It's the part of us that demands freedom from within, individually, in communities, and breaking certain dynamics. It's the part of us that is leading us into unity consciousness, 5D consciousness, into the new earth, which is why I feel is one of the most important topics and conversations that we need to be having today in terms of being able to heal personal trauma, healing ancestral trauma, and kind of healing the collective human stories in order to restore harmony and balance within ourselves so that we can proceed forward. And I recognize this as a huge, huge topic with many branches and many different levels and on fractal scales. But I'm going to do my best to cover some general parts of it today, and I'm going to refer to both men and women. There is a writer, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote about an archetype of the wild force within all of us, called the wild woman archetype, in her book Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is absolutely and exquisitely beautifully written and life-changing book. But I'm going to go ahead and refer to both men and women because within all of us is the same life force. You know, within every single person is the divine feminine force of creation. We're not talking about biological women or anyone who identifies as a feminine woman. The divine feminine force of creation is the life-death life cycle of nature. It's the breakdown to break through. It's the spiral time. It's the way in which life unfolds. So within each and every one of us and within all living things is the divine feminine force of creation. It is the energy literally that animates our physical body, and it transcends the logic of the human mind. So when the earth has an earthquake, do we laugh and mock at that earthquake? You know, do we pull out our phone and start laughing and mocking at it? No. We have grown to have reverence and respect for that earthquake because we know that's a force of nature that is life-changing and need be respected and handled with reverence. When somebody is having a mental breakdown or a breakdown of any sort and they're flipping out and they need to be heard, that's no different. That's their earthquake occurring. You know, we all have earthquakes just like we all have rainbows, and there's no difference. So what do we typically do when somebody is flipping out? Say it's in public. We pull out our phones, we start recording it, we're mocking them, we're laughing at them. Worst case scenario, it goes viral. And then, first of all, let's acknowledge that the reason they're having this breakdown is to release blocked energy within their system. Energy that has built up, probably closely related to trauma, whether it's personal, ancestral, unprocessed emotions, etc. And so we take that moment of breakdown that is absolutely 100% natural that they're going through, that's already packed with grief, pain, anger, rage, fear, and then we amplify that tenfold by making it go viral and mocking that person and ridiculing them and making fun of them. Could you imagine if we were able to reach a point in which we healed enough within ourselves and that rippled into the collective, where we absolutely pulled our phone out and recorded that person, but when it went viral, each and every person that recorded it and every person that commented, but first with the people that posted it with words of love and healing and encouragement to this person, that they're loved and that they belong, and that, you know, we're sending you energy and prayers of healing and peace. And then everyone kind of, you know, hopped on that bandwagon and kind of created that story around it. The world in which, and I do believe that the world will reach this point of unity and of healing and the restoration of kind of balance within, where that will be the majority of what happens. That's paradise on earth to me. That's absolute paradise on earth. You know, and if we take it back now to everyday life, just between our partnerships, within our families, any kind of relationship where we kind of break down and we're acting out and we're behaving in a loud manner, you know, or we're kind of rocking the boat and stirring the pot, or just, you know, expressing how we feel and living our truth, you know, being authentic, you know, getting it out, refusing to be shamed or turned off, you know, refusing to be contained. They are labeled, you know, when we do that, we're labeled as crazy or any negative label to deem us less than or unworthy, you know. So, I mean, look at the nature of this. I mean, people act out because they need to be heard, they need to be seen, and unfortunately there's not enough safe spaces on the planet in which we can come together to cultivate a safe space through which we can process these emotions, be seen and heard and loved unconditionally through it, because we've reached a deep level of understanding and compassion. But instead we're shamed and we're cut off and we become disassociated, and it perpetuates and strengthens the paradigm of separation. It's, you know, it creates the animal, you know, the rage. It fuels the rage within us. Look at men, look at both men and women in prison. You know, you put a man in prison for a heinous act or a crime that he committed, and you treat him like an animal, and you deem him unworthy and not good enough. The heart and the soul of that man is not going to tolerate that. Women and men both are not going to tolerate that. Now, first and foremost, we have to address what it is that is causing them to commit the heinous acts and the crimes that's landing them in prison in the first place. Because clearly it's past life baggage building up, personal trauma, ancestral trauma, unprocessed emotions, not being seen, not being heard. Putting a person, and I'm going to go ahead and use like Charlie Manson or the you know, horrific serial killers throughout history. Yes, even them. You know, to put a person behind bars and in a cage and treat them like they are less than human and degrade them is barbaric to me. Instead of going into the core of their human nature, what it really is that makes them behave and act this way, going deep, layer after layer after layer. You know, these impulses that drive them and their addictions, their rage, their trauma, like getting to the root of all of this instead of imprisoning people. Now here's where it gets sticky and tricky, because the victims and the families of victims who suffer from horrible things that happen, there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of pain, you know, there wants to be revenge, but really on a soul level, unable to be integrated into their consciousness because of the level of pain, is the desire for peace and forgiveness and healing and unity and love and restoration of health within their being and in their system. And it's interesting because clearly when we take a step back and look, we see, if we view the human story experience from the level of, from an energetic perspective, an archetypal perspective, we see how the patterns play out and the process of the breakdown to breakthrough occurs. So the pain, the heinous acts and the crimes and the murders and the rapes and the immense pain that feels absolutely unforgivable has to occur in order to kind of corner us essentially into a place where your only option is forgiveness and to accept peace and grace into your life. The way in which our consciousness is changing now is we're becoming sensitive to compassion and empathy, first and foremost within ourselves. You know, we're realizing the areas in which we've been separated from source within ourselves, and we're gaining a very deep level of understanding in terms of having empathy and compassion in our human nature, and that how that transcends the logic of the human mind and the story that has been told collectively on planet Earth. As we come to deeper levels of understanding of our own nature, that's going to ripple outward, and the systems are going to begin changing, I believe, and they're going to head in a direction of healing, of restoring the peace and the balance, and of belonging, you know, of unity, and not so much separation and us against them, you know, and all of that. We're going to be using our differences to come up with creative ways in which we can become more powerful when we join forces for the highest good of all. And there's a lot of layers of consciousness that need to be processed in order to reach this point. And it is a process. It's an unfolding. You can't go from A to D without going through B and C first. Now, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I truly believe that on my deathbed, I'm going to wish that I had spoken more of the truth, acted out, you know, found more creative ways and more opportunities that I had to speak the truth and get what I needed to get out there. You know, maybe I'll wish if I had just done it a little bit more, you know. And probably that's the main theme of when you're lying on your deathbed, the wish that you have is that you just did what you wanted to do and you spoke your truth and you did what you could to create positive change in the world. Because why in the hell didn't you is really the question. Why did you hold yourself back out of fear of judgment from people who don't even really care anyway? The ones who actually do care are the ones you're changing their lives, and you're helping them step into more of their confidence and find their self-esteem and their purpose in life through speaking out. Nothing ever changed. No great change was ever made in history by staying safe and having fear of being judged or labeled as crazy or even being killed. Because a lot of the best people that created positive change wound up being murdered through doing that work. So, I really want to bring awareness that no matter what form of creative expression, whether it's painting, dancing, singing, no matter what it is, you know, in the spiritual community, there's a whole lot of emphasis on get rid of the bad and just focus on the good. So don't pay any mind to all that trauma that needs to be brought to light and processed. Just go over there and pretend that you've already processed it, but secretly suffer in pain. The artists, the movie filmmakers, and the singer-songwriters that sing about horrific things or great trauma and grief, thank God for them. Because otherwise, how in the hell would the rest of the population have the courage or even know that it's okay to face their own grief and their own pain? So no matter what form of creative expression it is that we get out and we speak our truth and we refuse to be silenced or shamed, that's how we make change. First and foremost in our own lives. That's how we restore peace and balance in our own lives. And then in the ones around us and the ones that we impact through that message. So in order to reach that place, I think it takes realizing the places within yourself that you are separate from source. You know, all the judgments that you have against people who are expressing their ugliness and their truth and their pain and their trauma in a way that is not always pretty. It might be ugly. It might be sloppy. It might be messy. To be able to recognize the truth and the beauty in that first and foremost is the way in which we come to accept and embrace our own ugliness and our own disorder. Because in nature, there are cycles of harmony and there are cycles of chaos, just as in all of us. Somewhere along the line, we felt that it was inappropriate or unacceptable to be able to express our chaos. And I'm here to remind you that our chaos is just as necessary and belongs as much as our orderliness and the rainbows and the peace. If you cannot breathe through all the cycles, you're cutting your life force off. You're cutting your own potential. You're cutting the creative force within yourself off by deeming your own self unworthy of having these emotions and these feelings arise within you and feeling like it's unacceptable to express them in a creative way. So overall, the message that I would like you to take away from this video is to be more aware of the natural cycles within yourself, more intentional of how you can honor them and express them without fear of being judged. Because I can tell you, it's when you go forth and you express it without the fear of being judged, or even if you are judged initially and you keep doing it because you refuse to be shamed or silenced, that is when you gain the respect and you start helping the people that need that, you know, because we all need that. So that, and also to exercise your compassion. Probably this was the first step, to exercise your compassion with other people, who being able to recognize what's actually occurring in another person when they're breaking down and they're losing it, instead of looking at them and going, you know, ew, that's ugly, or that's gross, or, you know, they're crazy, or You know, all the negative things that we label people, calling them ugly when, you know, they're expressing something deep within them, or they're trying to process a grief or a trauma. To be a safe space and to, at the very least, just send this person your energy of unconditional acceptance and love and understanding. That's what heals. Go ahead and drop a like. Please leave a comment. Let me know of any kind of experience or thought relating this message today. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more content. Until next time, take care.